Is TIBO Cherupin, and I'm the compositor and editor on Dallas and Robo over at Shadow Machine in Portland. So hopefully this movie is going to make its way to you, compositor, I think, Steve in this case. And so I quickly wanted to go over what we're going to be sharing back and forth. Well, really just one way between you guys and us once you're done with pre-comping scene by scene. So from what I'm told, you're going to be delivering entire scenes at once, once every single shot within it has been approved. So we got your comp and quickly wanted to go over it and make sure that we're all on the same page before we move ahead with every single one. And so it's going to be talking about file structure, organization within After Effects, what files to export out of Toon Boom, where to put the backgrounds. So basically just to make sure that we have the same folder structure here and on your end so that everything links back smoothly and we deal with the right kind of files. All right, let's get started. So this is it. This is how we're going to be organizing our comp on our end. So right now I just built this with episode 101. Obviously it will get populated as we move forward. But all right, so inside episode 1 you'll find 4 folders, and it's really all you need to worry about. There's animatic, where you can drop the latest animatic that we sent to you. Animation, it's where every single folder of every single shot will be just kind of living there. This episode 101 is labeled differently from the rest of them. Not that it's a big deal, just know that the rest of them are labeled from 1 to 300 roughly shots. For episode 1, it's broken down by scenes. So this is our basic naming convention: 2 digits. First 2 are scenes, second 2 are shots. So what we got from you yesterday is I believe scene 12, shot 16, and right here it's broken down by character. That's perfect. Okay, so that's animatic, animation, then backgrounds. Right now I've already stockpiled every single background that we're going to need for episode 1. Those, very important, those PSDs need to be the same as the ones that you are using on your end, which makes this is the key ingredient here, because we don't want to have to be passing backgrounds back and forth because they're the same backgrounds. Hopefully there's no reason really for anyone up at Big Jump to be making any changes to the backgrounds unless they're set up incorrectly, but no layer should be deleted. I'll get to it, but there was an issue with the one that we received from you. But so let's look actually really quick at the one that we sent that's that we're going to be going over. In this case, it's spacebar window.psd. Just going to pop it open in Photoshop. There it is. All right, so we have, this is how it should be set up correctly, and hopefully we're doing that on our end. If it's not the case, you could actually feel free to fix it and then send it back to us. But ideally it's the same. So folder, each one has its own layer, and inside there's a lighting folder, and all of those matter. Cool. So when it's brought into After Effects, obviously all of these need to be taken out of their folders because we don't need to have pre-comps inside of comps. It would get crazy. However, we do need to keep that lighting folder stacked on top, because that's really the one that we're going to be toying with once it comes back to us. That lighting folder will not affect Toon Boom in any way, because it won't even be brought into Toon Boom since it's not a numbered folder. However, very important that it makes its way in After Effects, because that's where all the magic happens. Cool. I'm going to save that. All right. And then the 4th folder inside the episode is scenes, and that's where we'll stack all our After Effects projects. In this case, we only really have that scene 12, and inside of that scene 12, there's only one shot. Hopefully, it'll make sense. So let's just pop it open really quick. Actually, I already had it open. Great. So right here, you'll find the same setup: animatic, animation, backgrounds, and comp. Actually, in this case, these should obviously be in a folder that's called 1216, since all of the animation for that entire scene will live inside this After Effects project. The animation will need to be organized. So obviously, whenever the animation for 1215 comes in, it will go right into that folder. The reason we're breaking it into scenes instead of shots in After Effects is that obviously we want to keep the comp of the background the same throughout, in case we were to make changes. So it's better for rendering purposes, so we can render the entire project at once. It's better if we make changes to a background, like a lighting change or whatnot. The fix is made throughout the entire scene. It's just better for organization in general, and then we can navigate through the projects faster. So it's very important that those stay living inside the same After Effects project. Aside from that, so the animation looks great. No issues there. I'm just a sad little editor, and this is why I edited, so great. I'm happy with that. Yeah, it looks really good. So check out how I set up the comp really quick. So the comps are set up right here. Right now there's only one, again, because we only have the one shot. And inside of that, within it, I put the animatic because it's nice to have audio. It's really not necessary, especially since it's the whole thing and it's a pain in the ass to kind of, scroll it to where it should be. I'd say go ahead and delete it. We don't need it here. However, so we do need, obviously, those 3 layers, one for each animation that's been rendered. So this is great. I know one of the questions was whether or not to keep certain characters together or separate. I'd say more often than not, if the characters interact, just keep them together. We don't need to get fancy here. So this is great, the way that it's been split. Aside from that, yeah, so then there's the big background comp. So let's open that up. It should have everything that's in the PSD, obviously, with all the labels. So every single numbered layer should have been taken out of its folder. I know the folder structure is kind of a pain in the ass, but that's the only way it'll go into Toon Boom. But for After Effects, we really need it out of the folder because we don't want to end up with a gazillion comps. But yeah, here it is. This is our lighting layer. And obviously, it would have to have that little collapse transformation thing set up because all those layers have a different blending mode that's not normal. So if I go inside of it, here it is. We got all sorts of shadow, ceiling lights, neon lights, all of that. This should all stay inside its own comp that is labeled lighting. And we just stack it on top of all the layers. And, we could turn it on and off and check out the amazing work that background artists did. It's great. Cool. So yeah, there it is. Pretty simple structure. Then as we move forward, if the next shot, probably 2 shots from now, because he usually backs and forth. So 12:18 will probably, well, it definitely will not have this animation, but it might be, scaled out a little wider. I don't know. I don't have the animatic in front of me, but the idea is that the background is pulling from the same comp. So the After Effects project should run pretty well if that's the case, as long as we don't have duplicate comps constantly and pulling from duplicated backgrounds. That would be the worst. So great. So this is inside After Effects. Let's look at the animation really quick. I see that you've exported Targa sequences. It's not ideal. Ideally, really, we'd want Swifts. Swifts is, as you know, Flash, whatever they call it now, Adobe Animate, can't keep up. Swifts are good because Swifts are small and Swifts run pretty well in After Effects because it's all Adobe. The problem being that it's Adobe is that Toon Boom, which has the option to export SWIFTs, doesn't do a great job at it. Sometimes it'll work. It really depends on how well set up the entire rig was, and so I don't know if it's gonna work well or not. All I can tell you is try it, and if it does work great, then awesome. We should be doing that from now on. If it doesn't, I would recommend using PNG sequences instead of Targa, because PNG is the same in that it's not really compressed. It's keeping it's lossless and whatnot, but it is smaller in size, and it runs faster in After Effects. So I know that so that we don't end up with a million terabytes. Like, it's literally right now we're looking at multiple terabytes worth of data per episode, and sending that to us would take forever. So PNGs would probably end up with 20 megs for one animation sequence instead of 300. I know that it's 4K. That's going to be the real challenge for compositing. So trying to keep it as simple as possible is better. So that's that. Animation. Cool. Okay, so let's look at what you've sent, which I put in here. So I know it looks like it was set up in the way that we can just compile a project from After Effects to ship it. The problem is it packages it in a kind of way that then makes it harder for us to link back to once we get it. So after unzipping it, this is what we had. And I'm just going to open it really quick. Don't need to save that. Just to see how it opened. First thing we notice is that the background is missing all of its lighting layers. And if I link back to where that background lives, it looks like a new background was created where every single layer was flattened. And we lost all of our lighting folder. So we can't really have that because that lighting is important. Taking the layers outside the folders, I don't care. I kind of wish they were out in the first place. That's the Toon Boom issue. But overall, we want to keep it so that we're not duplicating backgrounds here. We're really using the same. You guys are using the same backgrounds that we send you, so that they can link back on our end, without really having needing them to be sent back to us. But that seemed so. That's okay. I would also keep the background inside its own comp, unless elements from that background need to be pulled out. Like, as an example, if for some reason a pool table needed to be in front of the characters, or I think this is pool table there. Where is it? Yeah. Boom. Yeah, if for any reason one of the elements of that background needs to be in front of the character, that's where it would need to be pulled out of the comp. Aside from that, there's really no reason for background layers to live inside the same comp as the characters. Let's see what else. Again, so Targa sequences, we've talked about that. And that will need to live inside its own folder for the animation. But yeah, we've gone over that too. Cool. Alright, but so now let me open what we'd ideally get from you guys. I know that your deliveries will be set by scene, so we'll be getting zip files full of whatever needs to be in that scene, and it'll look a lot more like this. So first thing is it duplicates our folder structure, and that's important so that we can just directly drag it into our server and everything will link back correctly. Animatic. This could technically stay empty, or else we just end up getting it. Doesn't matter. Animation. So every single folder that we need for that one scene, with every animation of the characters broken down the way you have it. That's great. Backgrounds, I put them in here, but again, it's unless you've made changes to them, there's really no reason to resend them. They might be nice. It's really it's up to you and however big it gets, and yeah, it's more likely than not it'll just end up being a duplicate. So I mean, if we have to just override the existing ones, fine. It ends up being the same. As long as everything in them stays the same. And yeah, and then scene. So that should just be the one After Effects project. In some cases, you may find that the scene is just so big that it needs to be split into two After Effects projects, and that's fine. I would be completely fine with it. We'd end up merging them on our end, but more likely than not, we just need to have the After Effects project be one scene instead of multiple shots. So that's basically that. Hopefully I've covered all of it. I can't really think of anything else right now. Yeah. So if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach. You can reach to us, and you can even email me directly. I will, as soon as I find out your email, I will send you a thing just to say hi. Yep. Thanks a lot for listening, and feel free to reach out.